Hello guys, in this video we're going to learn how to implement this animation in Ionic 6 and Angular. Now I've already created a dummy list here. Now in HTML we first need to create a grid list layout. For that we can use Ion grid. Ion grid is basically Ion provided component that we can use to create grid layouts. And now in Ion column we need to use ng4 to render a list. We're gonna iterate over the array that we have created in the TypeScript file, this one, and here we're gonna render our list item. We're gonna create an image, give it a background of temp dot background. Now it should work. Okay, it is working, but it's not exactly what we want. So we're gonna give it a size of 6. It should work. Okay, it's better. Now I've given a size of 6 because if you look at the documentation, it says that Ion grid is based on 12 column layout. So it basically divides the device's width to equally to 12 columns. So if you're giving the size of 6, it will divide the item equally to the device's width and create a 2-column grid list layout. Now you can also use div here. It doesn't really matter, but I'm using Ion item. And Ion items come with some default styling like padding and this line here. So we can remove the padding using Ion no padding. And for the lines, we can set it to none. Okay, but there's still a little padding at the end, so we can remove that in the CSS using a CSS variable called CSS variable for this item, Ion item, called inner padding end. It will remove the default padding. You can read about this in the official documentation. Let's give it a radius of 4 pixel. Okay, so now our grid list layout is ready. The next step would be to animate the list items, because currently it's just rendering without any animations. So to add an animation, we first need to give it an ID. We're gonna give it an ID of template list. Now we're giving Ion call an ID because it is the component that we are iterating on to render the list. So it basically will contain references for all the child items, which are basically this, and we want to animate every one of them. Now in TypeScript file, to get the reference, we will use something called viewChildren, and this is the ID that we gave here. Now this is the syntax to define a reference in Angular. We're gonna give it a name of template list ref and give it a type of query list element ref, because it will contain array of all the list child references. Now if you look at the documentation of viewChildren, it says that view queries are set before ng after viewInit callback is called. So we need to use that to get the reference, to use the reference. So we're gonna change it to after viewInit and this one to ng after viewInit. Now let's create a function called init list animation. Now, as we need to animate every item of the list, as you can see here, we need to get it from this template list references. So first, for that, we need to convert it to an array. Now let's create a for loop where we can access the element. So this is basically the reference for every list item. So, and we're gonna animate every one of them. So for that, to animate element in Ionic, we use something called animation controller. So we need to import that. Now in the for loop, we're gonna create animation for every list item and give it an element. So here we're basically telling it to which element to play this animation on. Now we're gonna give it a duration of 1 second. So this animation will be played for 1 second. Now we want to animate few properties of the element. Now if you look at the animation, you'll notice that elements are starting a little below the original position and slowly moving vertically up and fading in. So there are two properties that we can animate. First would be translate Y, because the elements are translating vertically up, and second is opacity. So to animate a property, we use something called from to, and it takes 3 parameters. First is property, the property that we want to animate, which is transform. Second is translate, or the start position, which in this case would be translate by 50 pixel, because the element is starting a little below from his original position. And this third property would be end position, which is its original position 0 pixel. Now second property would be opacity, and we're gonna animate it from invisible 0 opacity to completely visible to 1 opacity. Now in the end, play the animation. Now let's call this function inside ng after view init. Now it should work. Okay, the animation is working, but if you notice that animation is playing together, but here there is a delay after every item, every subsequent item. So we need to add a delay for every item here. So we're gonna add a delay of 1/3 of a second multiplied by index. So it basically tells it to delay the animation for every item, so they will be play out one after the other instead of together. Like for first item it would be 333 millisecond, for second would be 666, or third 1 second, and so on. So they won't be playing together, but one after the other. Now it is working. Now we can optionally add some easing effect to the animation, which in this case we can add ease in out to give it some effect. You see the difference here. Now you can read about this here. It basically tells it to start the animation slow, then speeds up, and then slow down towards the end. And this is the value that it uses under the hood. Now you can use this directly or this to customize the animation, to customize the effect as you like. Like here, modifying some values. Okay, so it's better now. Animation is complete. Now let's check this on Android. Okay, I guess the animation is working, but I noticed some flickering on Android. Let's check it again. Okay, so we have this issue on Android that the animation flickers a little bit. Now, if you search about this issue on Google, you'll most probably find a suggestion to use trackby, uh, where we basically use give every list item a unique ID. So let's try that. Now we need to define this function here. It will give the index and the list item, and we're gonna return the ID that we have defined here. This template is basically just a type that I have created for the item. So I've already tried this solution, but it didn't quite fix this for me. So let's check it. Okay, there's still a flickering on Android, so it didn't really fix the issue for me. So there's another workaround that I came up with. So we will wait. We will set a little timeout to wait after the screen is initialized to play out the animation on Android. So I think it should fix the issue now. Okay, it's better. Now if you don't want our list element to show while we are waiting, we can give it a default opacity of 0. And also, as this this issue is only on Android, so we can also, okay, the animation is better now on Android. We can also add a platform based condition, so we will only wait on Android, and on iOS it will play as it is playing right now. So we're gonna add a condition. We need to import this. We're gonna add a condition. If it is Android, then we're gonna wait a little, and for other it will work as it is working now. Okay, that's better. Now I've also explained you about this size. So if you don't want a grid layout and want a vertical layout, you can also give it a size of 12, and so animation will play exactly the same on here too. Now if you want to change this value programmatically, we can also do that. Let's create a variable, and we're going to change the list type on click of this button. So when we click on it, we're gonna change its value. We're gonna invert its value. So if it is true, then it will be false, and if it is false, then it will be true. We're also gonna change the icon as the list type changes. In case of vertical list, we're gonna give the icon view agenda, and we also add the condition here. Show it. So now we should be able to change it to list to grid. Okay, it is working. Now you can add as many items as you want, and the animation will be played exactly the same way. So it is working as expected. Okay, it should work on Android too. Okay, it's working. So now let's check this on Web 2. For that, we're gonna run Ionic serve open. Okay, so animation is working pretty good on Web 2. Pretty good. So now this is how you can implement list animation in Ionic. It is working pretty good on Android, iOS, and web. So I guess that's pretty much it about list animation in Ionic. Now this video is part of my open source project in Ionic. So I'm gonna put the link to the repo in description, where you can get the code and assets from there. I hope you liked the video, and thank you very much. Hello there. Just to give you a little glimpse of what next video is going to be about. In the next video, we're going to learn how to implement this animation in Ionic 6, where the contents of the drawer are in sync with the dragging. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.